after the war here on Glory is Noise, as we continue to honor the life and music of the incomparable Gary Moore. I am deeply grateful to have on the phone someone who has a tremendous history with Gary Moore, Mr. Bob Daisley. Bob, welcome back to the show. I deeply regret it's under these circumstances.
Yeah, it's very, very sad. Gary was a remarkable musician and player, and a very nice person as well. I really have nothing but good to say about him. He's certainly one of the all-time greats, and I always enjoyed working with Gary.
Well, I wanted to talk to you a bit about your time with him as a member of his band, but really starting off right at the beginning.
Right.
When was the first time you heard that man play guitar?
Oh, probably around 1971 in London, when he was with Colosseum 2 with John Heisman. I think Gary would have been about 18 or something at the time, and he was this certainly recognisable young kid from Ireland who's from Belfast. He had very long, straight, dark hair, and he was really making waves with his guitar playing, getting recognition and becoming very credible as a player, even as a young man like that.
Well, certainly that era was one that produced several great guitar players in the world of hard rock and what would soon become known as heavy metal. To your ears, what struck you most about Gary as a player?
Well, apart from being a technician and a great physical player, I mean, he was very fast, very precise. He was so tasteful as well. He didn't play so much from the mind. He played from the heart and soul, which is, I think, so much more important. But everything he played, he was very precise, and it had lots of not just precision in his playing, but real, true feel and emotion.
And what were the circumstances behind what eventually became a very fruitful relationship between the both of you musically?
I think the beginnings of it were when I went into the studio with Gary. He was doing an album which was it Victims of the Future, I think. Yeah, it was. It was Victims of the Future, and I played on some tracks on that. And he was very pleased. I was still working with Ozzy at the time. That would have been about, I think, 1983. And in 1984, he had a video to shoot of live shows in Ireland. And it would have been towards the end of '84. And he asked me to do that. And I think we did 2 shows in Belfast, 2 shows in Dublin, and he used the best of the shows to compile a video which came out on VHS, and it was called Emerald Isles. So he was at the end of the 4th gig, because it was sort of a quick decision. I think I had about 14 songs to learn in a week or something, and the rehearsals were full on. It was a big job, and I think we did one warm-up gig at the Marquee in London, and then we were off to Ireland to do the 4 shows. And at the end of it, Gary was very pleased, and we were relaxing and winding down from doing the 4 shows, and he was so pleased. He said to me, "Look, the door's open for you if you want to come back and do something permanently." But like I say, at the time, into '85, I was into 1985, I was starting to write stuff with Jakey Lee for Ozzy for his Ultimate Sin album. But then Ozzy and I had a fallout, and I actually contacted Neil Carter, who was the other guitarist, keyboard player in the band with Gary, and I said, what's Gary doing? He told me to contact him if I was available, and he just got Glenn Hughes in the band. I knew that wasn't going to work out. I just, I had that feeling it's not going to work out between Glenn and Gary. So I said to Neil, give me a call in a few weeks weeks when it doesn't work out between Glenn and Gary, and I got the call. It didn't work out, and I got the call, and then in 1985 I started working permanently with Gary, and quite often my career gets associated with Ozzy Osbourne and all the stuff I did with him, and sometimes with Rainbow or Uriah Heep, but a real big part of my career was with Gary Moore. It was a very important part, and a very enjoyable part too.
Well, I know certainly when I'm a musician myself, so I know when I work with different people, there's obviously a chemistry that's really exclusive to those other folks I'm with at that time. As a bassist, Bob, what kind of an impact did Gary have on you in terms of having that trade-off, working with one another?
It always felt comfortable with Gary. I think we both felt comfortable, being side by side on stage, and we had such a good rapport off stage as well. He had a really, really good sense of humour, and Gary and I had a similar sense of humour, and we had many a good laugh and became, good mates, and that sort of camaraderie really helped a lot in the music. And I think if you're having fun and you enjoy who you're working with, it comes out in the music. So, there was the feel and sound of enjoyment in the music too, so I had a lot of respect for Gary as a musician, and I liked him as a bloke, so, it worked very well.
Well, certainly in my household this week, the soundtrack has really been exclusively Gary.
Right.
And when I'm not listening to music, I'm watching videos online, and I of course, speaking to you now, I was in touch earlier this week with Eric Singer, who obviously was a drummer in Gary Moore's band at one point in time. And I'm watching the video clips of that band, yourself, Neil, Eric, and Gary, and it's so clear that you're all having a ball on stage together.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. That's a good thing. It was, that'd be the Stockholm Ice Stadium that we played it in '87. That was, the band was really, really big there in Scandinavia and Europe at that time. I think our album was actually #1 in Scandinavia, and that video shoot was obviously when you have a video shoot for a live performance, there's always a little bit of apprehension and anxiety and stress involved because you're being filmed playing live. But it's a memorable occasion. I haven't played any Gary stuff this week, and I've watched one video of empty rooms from that show, but it made me cry, because it was too sad, the last I actually worked with Gary was 2004. In 2003, we recorded the Power of the Blues album, and then in '04 we did some shows. Although I have spoken to Gary on the phone since then. I'm living in Sydney, Australia now, but when I was going back to England from time to time, I always, Gary and I would always hook up and have a drink and a laugh or a meal, dinner or something, or I'd go around to his house and say hi. It's a really, really sad occasion. So unexpected. I mean, the guy was only 58, but I suppose it's another example of you can really never tell when your number's up, can you?